学历史系毕业。从现场的痕迹来看，是自杀，但这里应该经历了一场黑占卜或者非凡陷阱，导致了某种邪恶力量的降临。
后间有3点可以确认：他开枪自杀过，他确实还活着。至于他失去的那部分记忆，如同韦尔奇和纳亚的灵一样，没有留下任何痕迹。影响他的力量让人畏惧。我从来没有遇到过如此棘手的东西。你要小心。
安提戈努斯家族笔记下落不明，你的危险并没有解除。
那
我们不是你的保姆，不能一直保护你。或者，你想加入我们，成为一位非凡者吧？
非凡世界，人类通过腐蚀魔药，掌握不同的非凡能力，完成生命层次的晋升。这22条进阶之路，从序列9开始，序列数字越低，非凡能力越强。高序列强者可以拥有比肩神明的力量。此进化路径称为神之途径。
In the hidden world of Beyonders, humans must depend upon a variety of potions to travel the path of supreme ascension and attain the occult powers of a Beyonder.
What is your concern?
My past, present, and future.
This represents your past. This card depicts your present. And this final card is your future. Well then, Mr. Complimentary, which card do you care to see first?
The present.
You have drawn the fool.
Have you decided? Tell me. You must understand that once you drink the potion, there's no going back.
The founder of the Nighthawks, Archbishop Chalice, once said, "We are guardians, yet also a group of wretched souls eternally battling against dangers and madness."
I'm very impressed with you. Leonard Mitchell, Midnight Poet of Sequence 8. You possess a unique quality. There are many special individuals in this world capable of accomplishing things that others cannot. Much like you and myself.
Ah, you must be Klein Moretti. Roseanne mentioned that you're quite polite. Would you care for a cup of hand-ground coffee?
Delighted to meet you formally. I'm Daly, the spirit medium.
Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Dunn Smith, a Nighthawk. Oh, and one more thing. Let's raise our glasses to welcome our newest official member, Klein Moretti.
Another day, I'm back in school. I think about him, he's so cool. He looks at me, I look away, but does he see me anyway? Oh, 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 he's got me spinning round.
和我一起出任务是故意的吗？啊？但我现在最好放弃对事情的担心，即使是在任务里，你也不可能发现秘密。
谁稀罕你的秘密啊，同学？这是最严重的地方。
这些人都谁呀？肯定是来驱魔的。驱魔？
漂亮男人，我是在元老爷和贵妇的怀里看到过，能行？
祈求带给我支付这笔30磅账单的款项。
啊，30磅账单？什么鬼？
赞美女神。
就在这里面。2个绑匪加1名人质。这帮人是谁啊？
猎犬酒馆的常客，一群赌棍。哟，看来这可不是单纯的绑架案。廷根市警察总局发现，过去2周内死亡事件是正常值的5倍。
5倍？
所以单建议交给了我们、待罚者还有机械执行。死者大多是底层工人和流浪者，极度贫困或者身患疾病。
毕竟勉强活着就已经耗尽了全部力气，一旦生病很难避免死亡，就像克莱德母亲一样。
被人拍了一下。
那只手白嫩纤细，似乎属于年轻女性。
这同我们的调查结果一致，排除所有正常死亡，其他事件中都曾出现过1名年轻女性的手，无法追踪。而且，我再次感受到了那股让你命运不协调的力量。
阿兹克先生提到的命运巧合，追捕绑架犯安提戈努斯家族笔记的线索出现在对面房间。比伯没逃出廷根就消化笔记的力量，让2049轻松追踪到了他的下落。凡森特引导塞琳娜实施魔镜黑占卜，却恰好被我发现。艾略特被绑架案的真正起因，安提戈努斯家族笔记。设计艾略特被绑架案，是专门为了给我提示笔记的线索。小丑的尸体，威尔奇和凡森特，又是笔记，还有这个人，又是谁？
警官，这些就是最近几个月霍纳奇斯考古期刊的借阅记录。
谢谢。这个名字应该是避风头，西里斯·阿瑞匹斯。是他，这么巧，不妙啊！对方看起来很强的样子，要上吗？别忙，做人就得遵从心的意愿，稳字当头。先去通知队长他们。跑了？报警！不好，是失控前兆。这就完了？我真是好运之王啊！小丑模样的配方。倒吊巨人，神识造物主。队长，
贸然统领有失控前兆的非凡者是非常危险的行为。你的幸运可以救你1次、2次，但不是每次。
抱歉，我有点太心急了。
你这段时间遭遇的超凡事件，比我们以前1个季度见到的还要多。尊敬的 Z 先生，在那本安提戈努斯家族笔记上，我和凡森特真的再也没发现其他有价 最后，尊敬的 Z 先生，我正在为毁灭日做准备，并希望得到您的帮助。等到毁灭日降临，我将向主人奉献廷根市的全部羔羊。卑微的西里斯·阿瑞皮斯。
You wish scheming, she'll make you think you're dreaming. You fall in love and you be screaming, dreaming. Poison Eddie's moving it slow, looking for a man.
So loud, I wish that we could close.
怪我只想安安静静地尝试我的仪式。唐恩，你还记得我曾经救过你吗？卡莱恩，你还记得我每天都教导你？唐恩，相信我，我今晚就离开，不会有任何麻烦，放过我吧。
The founder of the Nighthawks, Archbishop Chanis, once said, "We are guardians, yet also a group of wretched souls eternally battling against dangers and madness."
Dans mon esprit tout divin.
No more worries, rest your head and go to sleep. Maybe one day we'll wake up and this'll all just be a dream. Now, hush, little baby, don't you cry. Everything's gonna be alright. Sniffing at a bullet mark, little lady. I told you, Daddy's here to hold you through the night.
我尽力的一切都是幕后之人的设计，让我命运中飞。
How do you ride like you're running out of time? Right day and night like you're running out of time. Every day you fight like you're running out of time. Like you're running out of time. Like you're running out of time.
这是我的外甥女梅高欧斯。我们都不是风暴之主的信徒，并不认为婚前必须守贞。她是个很体贴的孩子，每天都会亲亲踢我，还会哼歌，会吹口哨，帮助我入睡。
怀疑梅高欧斯肚子里的事，真是奏折的降临题。是的，所以跟踪梅
请启用封印核心，圣塞琳娜骨灰。
终幕开启。
走，这邪恶降临体受不了圣骨灰刺激，快降生了！
Sports One。
我们成功了。
克莱，我们正计划停课。
队长。
终于出来了，久违的自由。因此，赞格维尔将我请出查理逊的凡人，他渴望得到廷根制的圣塞琳娜骨灰。关键时刻做出了错误的判断，将圣塞琳娜骨灰带出了查理逊门。因此，赞格维尔杀了克莱恩·莫雷蒂这个总是让他计划出现问题的家伙，以剩余的死神后裔推行不治之事，扶持下圣塞琳娜的骨灰，成功从死神途径的虚拟五代面人晋升为黑夜途径的虚拟死守夜人，成为半人半神的强者。廷根的故事到此结束。
There's no blood, there's no alibi. Desire draw me back from the truth of 1,000 lies. So let mercy come, wash away what I've done. I'll face myself.
distance. Klein pressed his lips together. He longed to go to them, but he couldn't. Not directly. As Melissa and Benson drifted along the street in silence, the clown suddenly bounded toward them. Golden, bright, radiant, a symbol of happiness. The clown extended the bloom toward them, but on the clown's face, where a wide smile stretched impossibly across the painted features. It was a happy smile, an exaggerated smile, a ridiculous smile.
Many people are claiming of an existence of a secret organization called the Tarot Club. This supposed organization is led by an ancient god named the Fool. The organization apparently uses tarot cards to identify their members with. There has been no proof of their existence, and to this day they remain a mystery. If you see anyone mention the Tarot Club, immediately report it to the churches.
Is an ancient entity more ancient than history, more ancient than the primeval gods and epochs. In the year 1359 of the fifth epoch, he awakened within the body of Klein Moretti, who had taken his own life after being driven mad by the cursed Antigonus's book. Seeking to return, the Fool enacted a ritual that led to the formation of the Tarot Club, with Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man as its founders. Upon returning to his divine kingdom, the Fool resurrected Klein as a price for awakening inside his body. After foiling the descent of an evil god, Klein was revived a second time by the Fool's powers, becoming his blessed. Now bearing the name Mr. World, he pursued vengeance against those behind the evil god's descent.
Save yourself. You don't owe these people anymore. You've given them everything.
Not everything. Not yet.
Tonight, Gotham's relying on one man to save us all. Walking that bit with the beat.
Hear that, Sid? There's a man in the woods.
The only outcome was death. Trissy laughed. The skin on her face had been pushed to its limits. Inch by inch, they crumbled, revealing the blood and flesh that was squirming wildly underneath. This extremely terrifying demoness scoffed and said, "Isn't the ending of a lovely story supposed to have all the bad guys die? For example, you or me?"
Right on the heels of that, while seizing the moment when Lanavus's fell forward, he took 2 steps and arrived behind him. He reached out with his arms and grabbed his enemy's neck. Klein's arms exerted force, and he suddenly turned around, twisting Lanavus's neck. After doing all of this, he took 2 steps back and looked at his enemy. With the card embedded in him, Lanavus looked ahead weakly as he slumped to the ground. At the same time, He was very confused and asked in a staccato manner, "Why do you want to kill me?" With his clown mask on, Klein stared at his archenemy and replied indifferently, "No reason."
Headless body was covered with even more cards, each separately depicting the chariot, the hermit, death, and more cards of different suits comprising of chalice, scepters.
Audrey instantly grasped the weight of Mr. Fool's sigh, her keen intuition piecing together the truth behind the situation with Lanavus. The godhood fragment Lanavus had carried wasn't just a minor relic. It was the core foundation for the true creator's plan to descend into the real world. He realized that the chaos engulfing Eastborough, the docklands, and the factory districts had served as fertile ground for nurturing and strengthening the true creator's influence. It was a perfect breeding ground for despair and madness, feeding him the power needed to manifest fully. Yet, through a single calculated mission, Mr. Fool had unraveled this conspiracy at its core. By intervening decisively, Klein had thwarted the true creator's grand scheme, saving Backlund and perhaps the entire world from unspeakable disaster.
Experienced, Benson protected his sister and wallet before leaving the station with their suitcases while following the crowd. Suddenly, they simultaneously felt a gaze sweep past them. Tracing the gaze, Benson and Melissa saw a young gentleman with neat black hair and dark brown eyes. The gentleman with the gold-rimmed glasses pressed his hat and looked past them into the distance. Benson and Melissa also looked away. Carrying his suitcase with an expressionless look, Klein walked past them with his body kept straight. He entered the departure station, facing the mass of people pouring into the land of hope.
This identity was that of a bounty hunter, a lunatic who was eager to go on an adventure at sea to get rich. His name was Gairman Sparrow.
Gairman Sparrow. Murderer, heretic, illusion. No one knows who he is, only what follows. He appears, and names begin to die. Some say he's a hunter, others say he's...
Whatever. Nothing. I am the flaw in your calculation.
This was the crazy adventurer, Gairman Sparrow, who had a bounty of £50,000 from just a single country. The hunt was about to begin.
Klein slowly stood up and walked towards the window. It was dark outside, howling winds and pouring rain. It looked as if the end of the world had arrived. Thinking of what he was going to do next, he couldn't help but feel he was acting in a certain sense.
Smiling, he muttered to himself in a low voice,
"Tonight, Gammon joins the hunt."
Uncle Sparrow, since that kind of power definitely brings about threats and madness, why did you choose to have it? She had thought about this question for a long time before finally mustering the courage to ask. Klein was startled, and he instinctively formed a smile. For my dream. Then he lowered his voice and said 2 words. And protect.
No matter the size, giving up keys, you giving up, please. Sip my drink, but I got
pulled her veil and looked up into the sky. The afternoon sun was slowly being obscured by clouds and fog. Her steps were slow, and wherever she passed, the fog would noticeably thicken. A haze, which was a mixture of iron black and pale yellow colors, descended upon Eastborough, the dock area, and the factory district as it continued to spread throughout Backland. Various scenes in the distance were drowned, and one by one, the figures collapsed in the fog in succession, while those who came into contact with them felt as if they had been infected by the plague. They died quickly, and even the able-bodied adults and children also felt slightly unwell. Lady Despair's expression was calm and gentle, as though she were finishing a work of art. Like an ordinary person, she walked among the dying citizens as she chuckled and said in a low voice,
"The Lowen Kingdom's history will remember this day. The Great Smog of Backland."
This event was a large sacrifice rite cooperation of the royal family faction, Ince Zangwill, the Aurora Order, and the Demoness sect. This event was orchestrated by King George Augustus III, who had secretly advanced to Sequence 1 and was trying to advance to Sequence 0 to become a true god of the Black Emperor pathway. The 7 Orthodox deities wanted to have a Black Emperor, but they were not unanimous in their candidate. As such, when George Augustus III managed to obtain the opportunity to become one, the 7 deities had no choice but to give their tacit agreement. To stop the apotheosis ritual, Klein advanced to Sequence 3, and while he was advancing, the Sephiroth Castle, Mr. Fool's domain, produced a discernible phenomenon that was noticed by some powerful hidden figures. After receiving an anonymous letter, Leonard and Daly head to Revival Square, where they confront Ince Zangwill, already in the midst of battle against Gehrman Sparrow. Ince Zangwill had fallen into a trap made by the Spectator and suffered greatly from the side effect of sealed artifact 008, which was always trying to kill its owner. Ince used the arrangement of sealed artifact 008 to successfully drag a powerful unknown existence from the spirit world. Daly interrupts his escape by signing a contract with the unknown existence, making her almost lose control. The battle progresses as the demigod starts revealing his true form. Leonard uses the Fate Siphon charm, while Gehrman tries to control the demigod, trying to turn him into a marionette. As the battle rages on, the Spectator appears unnoticed and takes sealed artifact 008, making Ince lose control.
Zangwill's head completely exploded, and like a smashed watermelon, the fragments and the juice splattered everywhere. Death knell had sounded the knell for him. It was none other than Klein.
The lady was already on the brink of losing control. She said in a daze, "I don't want to become a monster." "All right." Klein looked at her with a sorrowful gaze as he quickly thought of the means to rescue a rampager. He had considered getting her to chant the fool's honorific name before pulling her spirit body above the gray fog, but with her body already mutating, it was apparently useless. "So it's you. Didn't you ask me why I didn't take the initiative to confess to Dunn, to throw him in bed?" She gasped for air and said with a bitter smile, "I had indulged myself too much in the past. He was a conservative man. I felt inferior." She couldn't hold out much longer, with the outcome of her becoming a monster happening at any moment. Daly smiled as her blurry gaze saw a man in a black trench coat with a receding hairline. He had dark gray eyes. She watched as he pressed his hand to his chest, bent down, and reached out his palm to invite her to a dance. She reached out her hand as her thoughts turned sluggish. The gray-eyed man in a black trench coat pulled up Daly, whose mutation was slowly fading away. Under Leonard's watch, they danced a brisk dance in the destroyed square, with the fountain spewing water everywhere. Amidst the beautiful dance, Daly leaned forward gently, resting herself in Dunn's embrace.
also infinity, the beginning and the end. A price is always exacted for what fate bestows.
Clasping a silver cross in front of his chest as he wore a genial and calm look. Adam, Twilight Hermit Order's chair, King of Angels Adam. Klein didn't even know when he had arrived. At this moment, Adam looked up, revealing his clear, limpid eyes that resembled a child's. He slowly stood up, speaking with a calm expression. George III's death causes Lowen to suffer a heavy blow. Unable to sit idle any further, Itys decides to take this opportunity to launch an attack. This war officially develops into a war that sweeps through the world. Can you accept such an outcome? Although there was no concept of temperature in the Hall of Truth, Klein still felt a chill down his spine when he heard that. He felt a wave of heat, and he wanted to defend himself, but when he opened his mouth, didn't know what to say. For a few silent seconds, his figure was reflected in Adam's limpid eyes before he said with some difficulty, I accept it, but I will try my best to minimize the damage caused by the war in the future so long as I'm still alive. Suddenly, Klein's body trembled. His voice came to a halt as he froze on the spot. In his line of sight, a figure had appeared on a chair beside the full-body mirror in the room. He was a young man of medium build, wearing a dark-colored jacket and trousers. He looked like a mixed-blood man with Lowen and Bellum roots. This was the marionette that Klein had lost, Winner Inuni. Inuni smiled as he faced Klein's pair of eyes that could no longer move.
Don't leave your puppets to chance. They can be tracked.
As he spoke, he slowly stood up. He casually took out a crystal monocle from his pocket and slowly wore it on his right.
Did I could just fine.
Let's get disrespectful. Let's get disrespectful. You better have some respect when you attack a man. I'ma cut you off. Cut you off and talking to me. Cut you out my car. Cut you out my life.
Known as the Angel of Time, Mr. Error, and the Blasphemer. He is one of the kings of angels from the Third Epoch, and a child of the ancient sun god, notorious for his abilities to steal powers, thoughts, abilities like walking or seeing, and even manipulate the laws of nature. He is extremely powerful, so much that even angels and gods fear him. He has the capability to create clones to protect his main body, making him difficult to defeat permanently. He could be anywhere. He could be anyone. A passer on the street, a stranger in the crowd, an old friend, or a loved one. You cannot see him coming, because you simply might be looking right at him. He will follow you back. Then you'll discover that your parents will be making him their son. Your wife will view him as her husband. Your child will treat him as their father. Your friends, everyone you know, will treat him as you. And you will be the unlucky one. You will lose all connection with the real world and slowly die. The clock hand that tampers with time, the shadow that roams across fate, the embodiment of deceit and trickery. Amor.
Every morning you wake up, I'll be there. Every night at dinner, I'll be there. Every birthday party, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Every Christmas,
I'll be there.
Love it when you hide. I've been looking for you a long time.
Do you want to die? Yes, I do. Wait, what? See ya!
Yes, I should stop.
Oh my god! Sonic!
The magic show has come
come to an end. It's time to say goodbye. Klein took off his hat and bowed. He tried his best to make himself a true wandering magician. This was a habit of his acting. Upon seeing this, Pasha blurted out, "Can we know your name?" Klein smiled and said, "I have too many names. Different people have different names for me. You can call me the Miracle Magician, Merlin Hermes." I was real once, a name, a face, a life. Then the masks multiplied until even I forgot which one was mine. Sometimes I even suspect that Klein Moretti was just a role I played. The more masks I wear, the less I remember who I really am. I'm just a lonely traveler, accidentally stranded in this era.
I'm seeing someone. Wait a minute, as in dating or hallucinations? A therapist, actually. Oh, cool. That's a pretty responsible thing to do, Shadow. I'm proud of you. Shut the fuck up.
Music in it, babe, it's only love.
The kissing cars and downtown bars is all we need. You drew stars around my scars, but now I'm bleeding.
He also gained a clearer picture of his blurry self. A person who's very sentimental. A person from Earth, but to a certain extent. A person who has been reconstructed into a new person because of the fusion with Klein Moretti's memory fragments. A person who didn't spend too much time with the Nighthawks, but has had that period of time deeply influences his actions and choices. A person who tries to play safe and is afraid of danger, but is able to change his mind at the critical moment. A person who truly wants to skive, eat delicious food, travel and enjoy life, but he has no choice but to be busy with more important matters. A person who likes beautiful women, but he doesn't give himself up to pleasure to keep to his principles. A person who loves money but is willing to spend large sums of money for his siblings. A person who hides his pain inside while showing a smile to others. A person who's used to lampooning inwardly but appears gentlemanly on the surface. A person who can overcome his psychological traumas but never crosses his bottom line. A person who feels embarrassed for his acting. He's also a guardian, a miserable wretch that is constantly fighting against threats and madness.
愚者先生，我该怎样做才能成为非凡者？
The fool that doesn't belong to this era
his benevolence extends to heaven and the land.
Cultural divide, I'ma get it on the flow. 40 acres in the mule, this is bigger than the music. Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like fuck.
Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up the score with them. Walking down.
Where did all of it begin? Was it there? No. It doesn't matter where. Everything happened as I willed it.
When the Lord that created everything, the omnipotent and omniscient God, cast his attention on this world, he had many angels around him. Among them were leaders of the angels, kings of angels that were closest to being a god.
The ancient sun god, named Grisha, is the human survivor from the pre-epoch who woke up from the Chaos Sea in Chernobyl at the beginning of the second epoch. He became a human savior who killed the ancient gods and led humans to dominate the world in the third epoch. Let there be light.
The first from the modern era out of the Saphira Castle. She helped cause the death of the ancient sun god at his request, led to the fall of the Antigonus family, and she is Klein Moretti's blesser and protector. Praise the mother of concealment, praise the empress of misfortune and horror, praise the lady of repose and silence, the Evernight goddess, the goddess of misfortune.
Aside from the Tarot Club, what was the strongest organization? That would be Rose Redemption. Their members once included the Evernight Goddess Amnesis, Dark Angel, Angel of Fate, War Angel, the God of Knowledge and Wisdom, Wisdom Angel, the Lord of Storms, Wind Angel, the Eternal Blazing Sun God, White Angel, the God of Combat, the Earth Mother, the God of Death, and the Chained God. That's 7 sequence 0 true gods and 4 kings of angels. This tremendous force is gathered to stop the primordial God Almighty from awakening within the ancient sun god. Doing so would prevent the destruction of the world that they occupied.
A figure walked out. A man. He wore a black clergyman robe and had a silver crucifix hung on his chest. His gaze over towards the area above the gray fog, casting it at Klein, who was seated at the fool's high-back chair. His deep voice sounded once again. Mysteries. Suddenly, without any forewarning, Klein's thoughts erupted with a boom. The boundless gray fog boiled as the ancient and majestic palace burned. The blazing flames condensed into a fiery blob, as though a blinding sun had risen out from this mysterious space. A howling hurricane flipped the long marble table, snapping the thick stone columns and causing half the palace to collapse. Adam isn't necessarily Adam's.
Adam is the eldest son of the ancient sun god and one of the 8 kings of angels. He is known as the Angel of Imagination. The ancient sun god had Adam and Amen in order to get rid of his excessive beyonder characteristics. Both of them were born with the uniqueness of their pathway. Hermes had doubts about Adam's true identity. Hence, he disguised as Mr. Wrath and joined the psychology alchemists with the true agenda of using them to find the ancient mind dragon Arihar, from whom he learned that Adam may not be Adam. It was later revealed that Adam's true identity is the ancient sun god. Adam arrived in the forsaken land of the gods to confront the true creator so they could merge, and he could be whole again. Adam used erotids to trigger the Chaos Sea. Then he used the second blasphemy slate to form a connection with the triggered area of the Chaos Sea. He then stepped forward into the Shadow Curtain to confront the true Creator. During Klein's apotheosis ritual, it was revealed that Adam started to fuse with the true Creator with Adam as the dominant persona.
After dodging Zaratul's fatal blow, Klein ran into the fog of history and fled towards the former metropolis from a time before the First Epoch. To him, this was a safe room that could be trusted. This was because only a scholar of yore, who was a human from before history, could enter. Without any hesitation, Klein habitually surveyed the area and began praying to the Evernight goddess in the stacked city. A faint sound rang out as an ancient wooden stake with traces of blood penetrated Klein's heart from behind. A figure phased into existence behind him. It was a cold-looking man wearing a half-top hat and a black trench coat, Gehrman Sparrow. Klein's pupils dilated as the crazy adventurer said in a deep voice, "Adam is giving me humanity." Upon seeing this, Klein turned his head to look at Adam and asked in puzzlement, "Why are you showing me these? Wouldn't it be safer to hypnotize me and put me to sleep until Aemon becomes a god?" Adam's eyes were clear as he said, with a warm expression, "To be frank, if the other party wasn't Aemon, then I'd be more willing to help you become the dominator of the spirit world. We have too many things in common. In a sense, we are old friends who have met before." With that said, he smiled and said, "We meet again, mysteries." Bethel Abraham, also known as Mr. Door, was the ancestor of the Abraham family, who was banished to an isolated space of storms and darkness by the Evernight goddess and the Lord of Storms in the War of Four Emperors.
Bethel Abraham was corrupted by the mother goddess and banished from the worlds. His identity was fractured, half corrupted, half sane, which was the source of his irrationality. During each blood moon, his cries were the clearest and the corruption was at its strongest. The Beyonders of the Abraham family would suffer immensely, writhing in pain and teetering on the brink of madness. His pleas for help came from his corrupted side, seeking to bring the mother goddess into the world. The descent would begin.
At the door of flesh and blood, spherical lights collapsed and converged in an attempt to undergo a qualitative change. They seemed to form a body consisting of a series of doors. The body wore the blood-colored tidal wave as its robe as its body constantly warped and changed, reflecting different regions and planets. At this moment, a blinding ray of sunlight shone through the darkness. It descended from the astral world and melted everything it encountered along the way. Other than this ray of sunlight, an inscrutable darkness of the night surged over, attempting to devour Mr. Door Bethel Abraham. Mr. Door let out a low roar, causing his blood-colored robe to flare up. The blinding sunlight transformed into a young man wearing fiery armor. The shaking ground grew eyes and closed its mouth. The screen that was transformed from a faint light revealed terrifying facial features. Around the brass-colored eyes, eyelashes emerged, transforming into wings. Won't this accumulate madness? Others will, Amon said with a smile, but not me. You didn't try to become a god in the fourth epoch because you didn't dial 008? It was one of the factors. More importantly, at that time, there were still many hidden dangers that had not been eliminated.
At the peak of a mountain in the forsaken land of the gods, visionary Adam emerged from a shadow on a huge cross. Adam, now a giant shadow, declared,
"Let there be light,"
instantly illuminating the astral world. He used the Chaos Sea and True Creator as a pillar, envisioning 3 uniquenesses, and seemed to exceed the limitations of above the sequences and became half a great old one, suppressing the eternal blazing sun, the Lord of storms, and the God of knowledge and wisdom, trapping them in their divine kingdoms. Meanwhile, the dual sequence god Amon entered the astral world, expanding to a mountainous size as he tried to swallow Antigonus's palace, grafted there by the fool's authority, but was confronted by the Evernight goddess. Suddenly, the hidden sage's light broke through the barrier of plants, heading for Mr. Fool. As Mr. Fool put on the translucent mask of the fool's uniqueness, Amon's avatars attacked. In a final plan, Mr. Fool went from just accommodating the fool's uniqueness to advancing to the true fool. In the next second, the Evernight goddess's body expanded, enveloping the whole space, instantly erasing Amon's true body, avatars, Earth Mother, Primordial Demoness, God of Steam and Machinery, Hidden Sage, and Antigonus, as though they were erased by an eraser. Concealment. In the next second, Klein returned, his body splitting apart, merging with Mr. Fool. In an instant, a door of light traveled across the surface of the
At an extremely high speed, the door suddenly opened and Amon, who was wearing a pointed hat and wearing a classic black robe, leaped out. At the same time, he saw an illusory mask with blank facial features appear under the translucent, dark-colored cloak. The mask instantly outlined Klein, who had fused with Gehrman Sparrow's traits. Amon's thoughts turned chaotic, as though he had his intelligence forcefully lowered. The fool was born.
Lord of Storms, Eternal Blazing Sun, and God of Knowledge and Wisdom, initially weakened and doubtful, shattered the light restricting them, and then returned to sealing the world barrier's cracks. Klein, now fully fused with Mr. Fool, sat at Saphira Castle, Mr. Fool's divine kingdom, at the Fool's seat, stabilizing his mind. Just then, his spiritual perception was triggered. The Fool Klein suddenly looked up and saw that the grayish-white fog had formed a door at the other end of the long, mottled table. A figure wearing a pointed hat, a classic black robe, and a monocle walked out. Amon. There was a tinge of darkness in the dual god Mr. Error and Traveler's eyes as his smile appeared somewhat crazy. He leisurely looked around and nudged his monocle. He said with a crazed smile, "Are you pleasantly surprised?"
You do like thrills and seek it for pleasure, but to do so regardless of the price is just an image you portray. How can a real god of deceit wager a bet with himself at stake? Of course, this is just my own guess. Perhaps it's wrong. Anyway, do you want to take the bet? Amon stroked the crystal monocle and made a tisk like Medici. You're really crazy. Klein replied with a smile. In the eyes of others, this is indeed insane. To me, it's just a choice.
You will fight knowing that you cannot win? I don't understand. Are you fighting me for all of humanity?
He realized that his error authority had been forcefully suppressed. As Klein slowly got up, more slippery and sinister tentacles appeared around him. The smile on his face became more exaggerated. Right on the heels of that, Amon's eyes glazed over and the smile on his face froze as the crystal monocle lost its luster. At the same time, the cold, bizarre mask on Klein's face squirmed, the blind stupidity effect. In the next second, he grafted himself to a certain concept in the cosmos, and he used his authority to influence the corresponding environment. The surrounding slippery tentacles aimed at Amon like revolvers. In Amon's eyes that were still glazed over, A supernova exploded. An unimaginable sea of scorching light surged out, shattering his monocle and drowning his body. Behind the endless curtain of darkness,
When a massive star runs out of fuel, the force of gravity causes it to collapse on itself and explode. The star's remains are fired across the galaxy at a speed of 40,000 kilometers per second. Entire galaxies are outshined by the death of one star, a supernova.
In a world where the boundaries between reality and myth blur, and where the secrets of the universe are whispered only in the shadowed corners of existence, there stands a figure known to only a few. A figure shrouded in enigma, a master of the unseen forces that govern the cosmos. He is known as the Lord of Mystery.
Great Master, are you afraid?
He is not a sovereign who rules through force, but an eternal trickster who conquers through deception, illusion, and the subversion of reality. The celestial worthy's authority is absolute, permeating the unseen layers of the universe and guiding the hidden motions of destiny's grand design. To encounter him is to face the eternal cycle of order and chaos, a force that transcends gods and mortals alike, standing as the enigmatic core at the heart of the mystic cosmos. This cosmic entity, inscrutable and unfathomable, remains the ultimate paradox, both creator and destroyer, order and chaos, ruler and puppet. Such is the nature of the celestial worthy of heaven and earth for blessings. No being, deity, god, outer entity, or angel dares to openly oppose his unfathomable authority. This means that the death of the celestial worthy is more thorough.
I've also mentioned that if you address Mr. Fool using anything other than his three-lined honorific name, or attempt to invoke him without following the proper ritual, I can't guarantee that he will be the one who responds. It might even lead to perilous encounters. Now, I can offer you a clear answer. Under those circumstances, the response you receive could very well be from the celestial worthy of heaven and earth for blessings.
The original creator, a paradoxical entity, is the maker and destroyer of the universe. It is the collective of all, crazy but rational, good but evil, holy but unholy. It split itself into multiple Sephiroth, uniquenesses, and countless beyonder characteristics, infusing all things with godhood. Before the pre-epoch, the original creator split into multiple personas, the primordial God Almighty, and the celestial worthy of heaven and earth for blessings. They fought and perished, scattering their beyonder characteristics and uniquenesses. To facilitate its own revival, the original creator left a protective barrier around Earth, shielding the world from external threats as it slumbered inside. There are levels of divinity beyond what humanity comprehends, like how one becomes a god by accommodating a pathway's uniqueness, while a vastly more powerful Great Old One is achieved when a Sequence Zero god accommodates a Sephira. 10 Great Old Ones are currently held at bay by the Creator's barrier, waiting for it to fall so they can reclaim their lost Sephiroth and characteristics, triggering the apocalypse as prophesied. Furthermore, the universe is built upon 4 pillars, the primordial God Almighty, who is yet to revive. awaiting the barrier's fall to invade, and the Lord of the Mysteries, a position contested by the Fool, Klein Moretti, and the Celestial Worthy. The final pillar represents the universe's destruction. Its emergence would end the current cosmic cycle, forcing the primordial one to merge and split again, restarting the cycle of existence once again.
And if no one gives up and persists until the end, there won't be a winner. He will be the winner. Klein looked at him and said with a smile, "Anyway, do you want to take the bet?" Amon stroked the crystal monocle and made a tisk like Medici. "You're really crazy." Klein replied with a smile, "In the eyes of others, this is indeed insane. But to me, it's just a choice."
Klein smiled and said, "That's a good idea. As long as one wakes up, one of the mysteries will be born. This might be it." Yes, after completely destroying Sapphire Castle and entering a state of eternal slumber, she was able to weaken the seal of the Western continent, creating a weak spot that allows one to enter and exit. The Evernight Goddess didn't say a word when she heard Klein's words. Klein continued smiling. "This is my choice. I had anticipated this day a long time ago. I will finally face it."
Klein then said, "It's not just a matter of not leaving any regrets. We might be able to add to the forces that resist against the apocalypse. Compared to the whole, this might be trivial, but even the vastest desert is made up of grains of sand."
Compared to you, I'm more willing to believe in the former Lord of the Mysteries. He is a true great old one, looking down on the universe from high above, and treating most of the living beings as insects. This would make him distance himself from reality. I'll get the Lord of the Mysteries to promise me certain things. To him, it's very simple and worthless. I won't lose too much, just myself. There are always some things that are more important than others.
I won't help you protect the living creatures you wish to protect, but I won't harm them either. It's not that I won't keep my promises, but it's just that they're too weak and not worth my attention.
The young boy asked, "But why do this? Why go so far to protect everyone else?"
Klein finally smiled, as if finally learning something that he thought he had learned long ago. "We are guardians, but we are also a bunch of miserable wretches, fighting the threats and the madness. I won't lose much."
When I fully awaken this time, except for the strongest and most intense parts of Joe Mingrui and Klein Moretti's emotions and humanity, everything else might no longer be the me of now. As for whether it's tiring, of course it's very tiring, but there's no choice. Someone has to do this, right?
Lumien's thoughts were jumbled and chaotic. He opened his mouth and said, "Is it worth it?" Joe Mingrue looked at him, suddenly took a step back, and fell into that deep darkness. "It's worth it." Just then, at the huge chair at the top of the bronze long table, a figure gradually took shape. He was within the gray fog, his figure quite blurry, allowing Lumien and the others to only clearly see a silk top hat and a black long coat. Looking at this, both familiar and unfamiliar figure, Madam Justice took a breath, stood up, curtsied with a slight bent of her knees, saying, "Good afternoon, Mr. Fool."
In December 1804, in the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of the French. Europe had never seen such a sudden and dramatic rise to power. A son of impoverished Corsican nobility to military dictator of France in little more than 10 years.
Soon as Klein entered the astral world, he immediately sensed invisible gazes piercing through the world barrier, each illuminated as a colorful star painted across the sky. Klein smiled as he suddenly turned his head and glared back out into the sea of stars, raising his slippery and sinister tentacles. All of a sudden, all the attention from the cosmos shrank back. Only the hand-drawn crimson moon was left hanging there as it flashed with light. The once chaotic astral world had now fallen into silence.
Painful. How painful. My head hurts so badly.
It was a happy smile, an exaggerated smile, a ridiculous smile.
There isn't any glory or power in this. Only pain, curses, and responsibility. Are you scared?
No. Great Master, are you afraid?